Hello?
What up, boy?
Hey, Daddy.
What you over there doing, boy?
Nothing. Finna get ready to get in my new pool.
Oh, you got your pool?
Uh-huh. Mama friend bought it.
Your mama friend bought it. Who is your mama friend?
I don't know. Some big dude with some big old muscles and a bald head.
Oh, yeah?
And I think him a wrestler too, Daddy.
Why you say that?
I heard him in Mama room. He was like, I'm finna jump off the dresser. You ready?
Do what?
And Mama was like, but we ain't finna make all this noise cause my son in there sleep. But I wasn't sleep. I was watching SpongeBob. And I was finna come in there in Mama room, but I heard Mama screaming, so I was scared too.
You heard your mama screaming.
And I was finna call you to buy me a pool, but Mama told me not to call you for shit.
Your mama told you what?
Her told me not to call you for shit.
Don't be listening to your mama. I'm gonna call you back, alright?
Alright, Daddy. Call me back,
alright? Stand it.
Alright, bye.
Oh, man.
Hello?
Hold on, man. Oh, man. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Spann Report Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Spann. This is episode number 339 of the report. And, yo, man, shout out to the homie Cliff, man. Shout out to the homie Cliff for sending me that. He sent me that on Instagram. And, yo, man, funny shit, man, funny shit. And I'm just glad to be able to, like, start the shows off with some funny shit, man, real talk. But y'all know how we do. We got to get into the business and get the business out of the way. And, of course, before we do the show stuff. So let me go ahead and do that. We can get, let me tell y'all how to get in touch with us over here at the Spann Report Podcast, let your voice be heard. You can go ahead and hit up that hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages, and of course those messages will get replied to here live on the show and responded to in kind. You can also chop it up with us live. So if you're watching us live here on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and Twitch, man, you can chop it up with your man Spann here, right here on the show, area code 313-288-0485. You can also hit us up on our email at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Go ahead, leave us those emails, and of course those emails will get read here and replied to here live on the show as well. We got some listeners' feedback to get to today, so we will do that. Email us at feedback@thespannreport.com. Also, hit us up on our website at www.thespannreport.com. You can go there, watch replays of the show. You can donate to the show as often as you like, as much as you like. And, of course, we really do appreciate every dime over here at the Spann Report Podcast Network, man. You can hit us up on our store, get yourself some merch, buy yourself a t-shirt, get yourself a hoodie. It's kind of hot outside for the hoodie, so go ahead and get you a tank top, because you know we got them tank tops on deck. We got the coffee mugs and the sports bottles and shit, so you can get your drink on and whatnot, man. And you can do it with some Spann Report swag. So go ahead and hit up our store at www.thespannreport.com. Hit up the Take Me to the Store tab, and it'll take you right to our store over at TeePublic, man. Real talk. We appreciate everybody who goes about the business of doing that. 5-star reviews on iTunes and or Stitcher Radio. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get right here live on the show. We appreciate everybody who does that. Doesn't cost you a dime. Just a couple minutes of your time to let everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Spann Report Podcast Network, man. Real talk. But yes, we have got the business out of the way. Now, programming note. I know you guys have been noticing over the course of the last few weeks, man, I've been doing the show on a bi-weekly basis. And, it's been a little busy. It's been a little, like, it's been quite eventful. Like, let's just say that, I'm busy with the work, and I'm busy with family obligations, and some vacations and stuff are starting to pop up. So, I don't want to have you guys hanging where you're looking for a show and it's like, yo, damn, what the fuck, man? Spann ain't do a show this week. I thought he could have told a nigga something. You know what I'm saying? This nigga just leaving us hanging. Like, so here's what we're going to do, and this is something that I think will actually help with some of the other shows as well. Because we haven't done a beer and chicken in quite some time. And I've already had a conversation with the homeboy Cliff. And what we're going to do is the Spann Report will be on a bi-weekly basis, and the Beer and Chicken podcast will also be on a bi-weekly basis, and they will alternate. So if you're going to get a Spann Report this week, next week you'll get a Beer and Chicken. And I believe Cook with the Highly Inappropriate podcast, I think she's doing a bi-weekly schedule as well. Don't nail me down on that one. But when Cook decides to put out a show, Cook will put out a show. But for going forward, for the foreseeable future, the Spann Report will be a bi-weekly show, and the Beer and Chicken podcast will be coming back, and we will also be doing that on a bi-weekly basis. So that, for one, here's the thing. There's a lot of shit going on. There's a lot of shit going on, and I don't want to give you guys short shrift as in like I don't really know what's happening in the world, so I don't feel comfortable speaking on some of those things, especially when it came to the sports stuff. A lot of the sports I hadn't had a chance to really sit down and watch them, and so because of that, I didn't feel comfortable getting on the mic talking some sports shit, and I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. And so I wanted to make sure that when we do the sports thing, when we get back to the beer and chicken stuff, we actually got some sports stuff to talk about, and we actually know what the fuck we talking about, especially for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about Cliff. Nah, I'm bullshit. But no, seriously, real talk. When we talk about that stuff, when I get on this mic, I really want to know what the fuck it is I'm talking about before I get on the mic. I feel like I want to be prepared, and I haven't been able to really prepare for beer and chicken. That's why we hadn't really been doing many of those. So yeah, that's what it's going to be for the foreseeable future. Spann Report be bi-weekly. And the Beer and Chicken podcast will also be a bi-weekly show, and Cook will drop us those highly inappropriate podcasts when she gets in, when she sends those in. So yeah, man, that's the programming note. Now, I did have some random thoughts. Got some random thoughts from the last couple weeks, man. It's not many thoughts, man. It's not many thoughts at all. So I mean, we're not gonna be here all day. I got shit to do today. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, a couple random thoughts, right? But yeah, one random thought I had, man. I saw someplace, I don't know if I read it on Facebook, I don't know if I read it on Twitter or some shit like that, but I saw somewhere where it said like a cloud weighs like 1.4 million pounds and shit. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not the smartest man in the world. I don't pretend to know everything, although some people will tell you differently. But I don't pretend that I know everything. When I heard 1.4 million pounds, bro, I was like, man, that is beyond my scope of fucking comprehension right now. I'm like, that GIF where they got the mathematic problems and shit all floating in the air, and a man look confused and shit. That's me. That's me when they start talking about fucking clouds weighing 1.4 million pounds. And the first thing I thought about, like, man, how in the fuck did they weigh a goddamn cloud? How'd they do that? You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I've flown in an airplane before and shit. You know what I'm saying? You go through a cloud in the airplane, and the shit just dissipates. You go right through the motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the cloud is like light. You would think it was light because the bitch floating. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so light, it's floating. Like, gravity can't even fuck with the cloud. The cloud just up there. You know what I'm saying? So I was trying to figure out how in the fuck did they like weigh the cloud. So I felt like I should ask somebody who would know a little bit more than us, and that would be Google. So, hey, Google, can you weigh a cloud?
1.1 million pounds. On the website headsup.scoutlife.org, they say, according to scientists, the weight of the average cumulus cloud is 1.1 million pounds.
Huh.
Think about that for a moment. This means that at any given moment, there are millions of pounds of water floating above your head.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that still didn't answer my fucking question. That still didn't answer my question, because I asked, can you weigh it? They just said, yeah, it weighs this much, but it didn't tell you how they go about doing that shit. So I don't know, man. How the fuck do you weigh a damn cloud? That's really what I want to know. Who came up with that? How'd they figure that out? But that was one of the things I was thinking about. Another thing I was thinking about, man. We live in a time now where, people have access to a lot of information. People have access to, whatever news, whatever science, whatever sports. We got access to a little bit of everything. Like, if you got a point of view, there's some place you can go on the internet that will confirm or deny your said point of view. However you want to spin it, there's some place that will confirm that for you, right? But one of the things I was thinking about, man, we hear a lot of people call themselves free thinkers. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially people who tend to have unpopular opinions. They call themselves free thinkers. And one of the things I always thinking about this was, the thing about free thinkers is that they always, like, this is the trick bag that I find a lot of free thinkers putting themselves in, is that free thinkers more often than not are advocating for, like, conforming to old ideas, right? A lot of the free thinkers that you think, like, when you start listening to the shit that they're talking about, they're really just talking about going back to some shit that we've already been through, or conforming to the status quo. And because what they are asking us to conform to might not necessarily be popular at the time, they consider themselves free or free thinking. But it all goes back to that whole thing about them not necessarily having original ideas. They're always advocating for us to conform to old ideas. And the thing is, that is like, what's the freedom in that shit, right? You're a free thinker, but you're thinking on a scale like, yo, we had those ideas come past it before. We kind of discarded some of them. It kind of goes into the old adage, like, you know, when you know better, you do better. This is probably the reason why, like, not as many people are smoking cigarettes in the ways they used to smoke cigarettes. It's part of the reason why they don't prescribe cocaine to us for pain medication and stuff like that. I mean, we got other, opiate type of medication and drugs that they're trying to wean people off of. But yeah, man, free thinkers always calling themselves like they're revolutionary and shit, but really it's just like y'all advocated for old ideas and we didn't decide to like our bullshit. We've decided against those things. So yeah, man, that was just something I was thinking about. Another thing, man, Kwame Kilpatrick was preaching today. He was in a couple churches here in the Detroit area. He was, a couple Detroit area pastors lend their pulpit to Kwame Kilpatrick. And listen, I am not one to poo-poo anybody's redemption story. I do hope for Kwame Kilpatrick to have a legitimate and sincere reconciliation with the folks he's wronged. I do hope that, like, if there is a reconciliation here, that it is sincere and it is genuine. That's the best that I got for it. But like, right now, in this particular moment in time, this reeks of, getting booed off the stage at the Apollo while trying to sing Keith Sweat, and then you turn it over to, like, start singing Smokey Norfolk because you're trying to win the crowd back. It's funny how, like, they always go back to the church, man. And, like, and the church will welcome them with open arms, man. And God bless the church, man. Because like, the church will, like, this is part of their mission. But I just get the feeling that, like, yo, man, it is also rife and ripe for people with, bad intentions to just kind of give themselves an air legitimacy with the community. And so right now I'm skeptical, but I do hope that, like, Kwame Kilpatrick is on a legitimate and sincere, path of reconciliation and redemption for himself, man. Because I'm someone who voted for Kwame Kilpatrick, and I felt like Kwame Kilpatrick was a tremendous waste of political talent. Because he let his own personal greed kind of step in front of what his duties were to the people that put him in office, that put him in a place where he was. And so, yeah, man, that was something I was thinking about. And the last thing I was thinking about, man, yesterday, well, it wasn't yesterday. No, it wasn't yesterday. It was the day before yesterday. My daughter, graduated from high school yesterday, and yeah, man. Proud papa moment. You know what I'm saying? Proud papa moment. You know what I'm saying? Another thing too, man. Like, it made me realize, your man Spann, we getting old out here, Chief. You know what I'm saying? I've already kind of embraced the uncle vibes and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I embrace my uncleness and whatnot. I mean, I'm an uncle to a few, like, for real. But, like, yeah, I'm embracing that whole role and whatnot. And, like, I'm almost getting into, like, my middle age, kind of thing too. But, yo, man, it ain't nothing like, watching your baby walk across the stage and whatnot, man, with the cap and gown and getting the diploma and everything. And, just having flashbacks of when they were young, man. Like, I remember when she was real little and she used to run up to me when I would come home from work and, like, daddy, 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 and all that other stuff. And I remember, like, I'm not going to tell that story, but no, but I just remember it's amazing to watch your children grow up and become, little people, and then little people with attitudes, and then little people with opinions, and then, little people with opinions with some letters behind their name, or with, like, a little certificate next to them and whatnot. And they got ambitions, and they got goals, and they got, things that they want to do, and they're expressing these things to you, and you're just like, yo, man, this is happening. So yeah, man, like, to put things in perspective, when I started this podcast, my daughter was 8 years old. Right? My daughter was 8 years old. A lot of you guys, although I don't necessarily, like, show my daughter here on the show a lot, I don't necessarily show my daughter a hell of a lot on social media and everything else. I'm very protective of that. But also, I was proud. I'm very proud of the young lady that my daughter has become. And yo, man, I'm ecstatic that my baby girl is a high school graduate now, man. So now is, you know, that's one step, that's one chapter closed, and now we move on to the next one, and it's gonna be an amazing journey to like kind of watch her along the way, because I do have high hopes for my baby girl. And yo, man, I'm just happy, man. This has been a really good week, man. I can't even front. It's been a really good week. But yo, man, that has been my random thoughts. Now, we do have some listener feedback. I've got a few emails. Of course, it's been a couple weeks since I did a show, so like some of these emails, I'm wondering if like they just came over, like, yo, man, this nigga ain't did no show, and they had time to send these damn things in. But let me go to my emails here, and the first email I got here is from this is from Reggie. All right, man, we should just call this segment Reggie. No, but we get this from Reggie, and Reggie writes in. He's talking about Kevin Samuels and Monique. It says, Spann, really quick, I just want to know, what are your thoughts on the Kevin Samuels phenomenon? Considering how you approached the last show, it seems like Kevin Samuels is all over the place, and a lot of guys are taking heed to his messaging. What do you think of it? So Kevin Samuels, I don't really have much to say about the dude. I mean, like we kind of briefly, I remember when he first came on my radar is because of how like how brutal he was towards some of the guests that were calling into his show, you know, asking for relationship advice. I remember he was talking about the young guy who was a bit overweight, and, you know, talking about his penis size and how much money he made and whether or not he deserved a certain type of woman. And then there was another clip of him telling a woman that, you know, there's a certain type of man that she isn't going to be able to obtain because she's at 6 at best, and you know, the kind of man that she wants isn't looking for a woman like her at her age, and all these other things. So, like, first things first, I just thought that, like, yo, there's a way to say shit to people in order to get them to take heed to your messaging. And I just think that, you know, for someone of, like, I think Kevin Samuels understands that, you know, being brash can get you some attention. And ever since that video went viral, I've been seeing more and more Kevin Samuels acolytes just kind of pop up out of the woodworks. And truthfully speaking, it kind of reminds me a little bit more. It kind of reminds me a lot of like what it used to be when Tariq Nasheed was out here in much the same way. Before Tariq Nasheed turned into this pseudo historian and all this other shit, Tariq Nasheed was out here doing the same shit with that Mac Lessons radio show. You know what I'm saying? And like you started seeing and you started listening to it, and you start noticing some of the lingo, you know, seeping out into social media. So I remember Tariq Nasheed used to talk about, you know, dudes being moist, or you know, stuff like that, and like moist kind of becoming a euphemism for gay or effeminate in that sphere. And now the terminology that a lot of these Kevin Samuels acolytes use is high value man. Suddenly high value man is like something that I see all over social media. So it becomes a thing, man. Like you get the one hot person who's into the relationship shit, and if they're talking cash shit, if they talking real greasy to folks, unfortunately, like that's what gets attention. People talking real greasy to people gets attention. So I don't really have any opinions one way or the other towards Kevin Samuels, other than the fact that, like, I'm not in the market for Kevin Samuels' opinion on shit. I'm not in the market for a relationship advice from anybody like a Kevin Samuels. I honestly, real talk, when it comes to some of the relationship advice sort of thing, like, I'm just not into it more often than not. Like, you know, like, look into the people that y'all taking this advice from. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. I would say anything to, like, look into the people that y'all are taking this advice from before just like kind of taking what they say and run with the shit, because they could be telling you some shit that they're not even applying for themselves, but they see you as an opportunity to make money. So if you listening to them and you buying their merchandise, if you are, frequenting their live streams or Patreon, all that other shit, man, like, just kind of look into the shit that they saying. Like, do they have the credentials to kind of validate what validate what it is that they're telling y'all? So yeah, with Kevin Samuels, I'm not a fan. I'll just put it like that, because I see a lot of people now. As a matter of fact, that Lapeef Network shit that I played a couple weeks ago, like, you know, we were talking about the crisis of masculinity and shit. Like, here's the other part. YouTube now has been inundating me with videos from that particular channel. and I can't escape this channel. I don't even pick the videos anymore. Like I haven't clicked on any more of their videos, but I keep getting served up videos from that channel, and I've noticed that Kevin Samuels has shown up on that shit a lot. So yeah, man, I'm not a fan. I'll just say that. I all that to say I ain't a fan. Let's see. Reggie writes in also. This is the comedian Monique got a ton of backlash from social media over her views of women wearing bonnets in public. I personally didn't have a problem with what she said, and I think she made some pretty good points on how you look in public could very well contribute to how you perceive. Yeah. I'm not a fan of what Monique said here. And the reason why I'm not a fan of what Monique said here is because Monique was advocating for y'all to go out here, tap somebody on the shoulder, tell them what they got on don't look right. And, you know, that's just asking for a fucking fight. You don't know these people. And one of the ways in which she kind of articulated it was like, yo, she, you know, what was that? Margaret Avery and Patti LaBelle took her to the side once and told her to get out of her feelings about some shit. There was some older people that were like kind of pulling her coat or something. And like she had to take that with love because that's how they intended it and everything else. And she kind of hoped that the people that she was talking about with the bonnets and everything would take it with love. The difference between Monique and Patti LaBelle and Margaret Avery is that, yeah, you had a relationship with those people. That's why you took it that way, right? There was a prior relationship there. The thing that I had noticed about the whole bonnet thing, because it was like this shit kind of blew up on social media over like the last couple of weeks. But the thing that like blew up that got with me was like, yo, man, you got a whole bunch of strangers out here just like taking pictures of other strangers and like trying to like publicly shame them on social media. Like if you notice, like people are just like kind of stereotypically taking photos of these folks. They're not actually going up to these people, but they're taking pictures of these folks and putting them on social media. Like even when you're out in public, you don't necessarily have the expectation of privacy, but I do feel like that's an invasion of privacy. Like you out here minding your own fucking business and people are taking pictures of you and putting you on social media so they can mock you and make fun of you and shit, right? I think there's something inherently wrong with that. That's just me. But yo, with Monique, you know, I get where she's coming from in the sense that like, yo, there's certain people of a certain age who feel like if you present yourself a certain way, then you should garner a certain level of respect. And there's a bit of respectability politics ingrained in that. But the pushback to that would be like, yo, man, I can dress a certain way, I can move a certain way, and despite all of that, I could still be disrespected. So whether I'm wearing this suit or whether I'm wearing this track suit, depending on where I am, somebody will find a way to disrespect me. It doesn't matter what kind of clothes I have on. It doesn't matter how my hair is styled and everything else. So there's two schools of thought here. But I think that what Monique was pulling from was an older school of thought where, you know, you look a certain way, you feel a certain way, people will treat you a certain way. I think the other part about this is you never know what people are going through. You never know what people are going through. You never know what's on anybody's mind. You never know what they are in preparation to do. And it's actually absolutely free to just leave people the fuck alone. Just leave them the fuck alone, man. You don't have to touch anybody. You ain't got to say nothing to nobody. They minding their own business. They ain't bothering you. Then just leave them the fuck alone, man. Like, honestly, it doesn't hurt anybody to just leave everybody the fuck alone. I wish more people would just kind of take heed to that. That's a sale that is forever. Right? That is a sale that is forever. So yeah, man. Appreciate you writing in. Did you have any more? Just wanted to hear your thoughts, brother. Also, great show last week. You was preaching. Anyway, keep it up, and I'm sure I'll get something from your response. Thanks, Reggie. Well, I appreciate you writing in, Reggie. Let's see. We got another email here. This comes from. Okay, this is from Robert H. Robert H. writes in to say, you must be in search of some of Mama's cooking. All right. I can't wait for Kwame Brown to flame your ass for spending so much time trying to belittle his manhood. He's more of a man than your effeminate ass will ever be. And right on cue, you came at him for being right of center politically. Could you be more predictable? More black men are waking up from the sleep that the Democratic Party has pulled them into, and you hate it, so you had to tear him down. Strong black men scared not only white people, but you soft-ass Negroes too. That's why Kwame has the world shook. All right. Well, I'm going to just say this.
Oh, yeah. There is powerful niggardry at work here.
Yeah, man. So, interestingly, you took that as me, like, downing Kwame Brown's manhood. That's how you frame that. That's what you got from that discussion that we had a couple weeks ago, that I was taking down Kwame Brown's manhood. Very interesting, because honestly, I looked at it as like, yo, I was trying to expand what we could mean when it comes to manhood, that we aren't limiting ourselves to a certain segment of rules when it comes to being a man. Because I honestly feel like, when we start talking about the rules to being a man, we kind of stun our growth on a lot of shit. We don't become comprehensive human beings, right? That's how I feel about shit. And I also talked about how, like, even now you talking about effeminate and all these other things. Like, I don't think you understand that, like, to someone like me, saying something like, the things I said were effeminate, as if something, like, you believe that there's something inherently wrong with being feminine. And this is something I even talked about this when I was having a back and forth with a young sister on Twitter a few weeks ago, when she talked about going back and forth with a female. And I'm like, listen, are you not an adult? Right? This isn't the insult that you think it is, right? You're actually insulting yourself when you assert that, like, a man having a back and forth with you is an effeminate trait. Like, no, he's having a conversation with another human being, an adult probably. I would hope so, right? But your idea that I was trying to take him down. Like, no, I wasn't trying to take him down. I was essentially just saying, like, listen, this is what he said and this is how I feel about it. I wasn't trying to take down his manhood at all. I think his idea of what it means to be a man is quite limited. But that's what I was kind of getting at, because even when we start talking about feelings and shit, his feelings were hurt. Let's keep that a buck. His feelings were fucking hurt that they got on that goddamn podcast and was talking about him. His feelings have been hurt for 20 fucking years. He's just now publicly really saying anything about it. But this is 20 years of fucking hurt feelings, bruh. 20 years of hurt feelings, all coming out. He held that shit on. He held on to that shit for 20 years. That ain't healthy. That ain't healthy. So, like, yeah, you thinking that, like, yo, I want some of mama's cooking. Let's just keep it a buck, man. Everybody's mama can't cook. So, like, I'm not really searching for everybody's mama's cooking or anything like that. Everybody's mama can't cook. But also, his idea of manhood I thought was very limiting. Some of the things that he said about Jamil Hill were very unfair and untrue, I might add. Right? We're going to talk about Kwame Brown again today. But this idea that, I'm trying to tear down his manhood, and it was predictable that I would try to come for him because he's like right of center and all this other shit. Yeah, I fundamentally disagree with some of the points that he made. And I also could peep where this shit, I could see where this line was going to. As a matter of fact, it's part of the reason why we're going to talk about Kwame Brown today. It's because I could see exactly where this shit was going a few weeks ago. When I seen it, I'm like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. I noticed what this is, right? So yeah, man, I mean, you're more than welcome to feel the way you feel or whatnot. And here's the other part, right? Here's the other part. So I take it you don't like me. I take it you don't like my show, but you listen, right? But you listen. Tell me how does that work? Tell me how that works, that like you will listen to a show that you don't necessarily like. Is it that you're trying to find a reason to argue with me or something like that? Because I know that's a thing. I know people hate watching, hate listening to a lot of things. Is this an instance of you hate watching or hate listening to shit? I mean, you more than welcome. Write in again. Let me know. Are you just like, do you like or dislike the show? And if you dislike the show, why do you continue to consume it? Right? So yeah, man, this is things questions I would ask of you. But yo, man, thanks for the email, I guess, right? Now, another email that we got here, this also comes from Reggie, because Reggie writes in quite a bit. I ain't mad at you, brother. I appreciate you. But Reggie writes in this is talking about Gary Owens' divorce and CJ Pearson. All right. I know it seems like I'm asking a lot of thoughts questions, but I got one more for you, so bear with me. It was recently announced that Gary Owens' estranged wife is asking for $44,000 a month in spousal support during their divorce proceedings. Doesn't that seem a little excessive? Why should he pay that kind of money to her when she's the one who's asking for the divorce? Or do you think it's a negotiating ploy where she asks for an astronomical amount knowing she won't get nearly that much, but she gets something lower, which is a bit more reasonable, but still more than she needs? I got a question for you, Reggie. Who are you to determine what it is that she needs, right? right? I mean, I know the numbers may seem astronomical to you and me because maybe we don't have the resources that Gary Owens and his wife, or soon to be ex-wife, have available to them. But yeah, like who are we to determine what her needs are? See, this is the thing about pocket watching. Like, yo, them rich people problems, right? I don't give a damn how much money she's asking Gary Owens, because she ain't asking me for that money. They ain't got nothing to damn like, real talk. It ain't got nothing to do with me, man. If she, you know, that whole accustomed to living, you know, that standard of living, if he is allowed for her to live on $44,000 a month during the duration of their marriage, and damn it, you know, who are we to say that she shouldn't also continue to live for $44,000 a month? Now, I know you talking about, you know, she initiated the divorce, but, you know, why? You know, what are the reasons behind that? Who knows? I mean, I haven't really been keeping a whole hell of a lot of track when it comes to Gary Owens, but yeah, man, like when we start hearing, like, here's the thing, man. I know a lot of brothers do this, but when we start hearing these divorces happen, these celebrity divorces, what we'll do is we'll put ourselves in the position of the man with the money, right? We always do this. Whether we know these people or not, all right? Like, so Jeff Bezos got divorced from his wife. He had to part with like $60-something billion, right? And there was a whole bunch of brothers who were like, man, what the fuck, man, $60 billion, man, she don't deserve that. Despite the fact that like Jeff Bezos' wife, you know, was there from the beginning, started from the bottom, they got there, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, sure, she wasn't the front-facing person associated with Amazon and its creation and everything, but she was there from the startup. And so, you know, we look at, it was a whole bunch of fellas like, man, she shouldn't get this much money. Like, yo, for one, that ain't your money. And for two, he good for it. He gave up $60 billion and didn't lose an ounce of fucking sleep. You know why? Because he had it. He was good for it. We start thinking about this shit because we ain't good for it. Right? We start thinking on those terms because we ain't good for it. We always project ourselves as being these dudes who got all this money, man. They ain't got shit to do with us, man. Them rich people problems. I ain't rich. I ain't got them kind of problems. Now, you know, that's just kind of how I feel about it, man. I don't really get into whether or not she deserves and all this other shit. Hey, man, let their lawyers, figure that shit out. I don't give a damn, bruh. I really don't. He writes in more to say, another thing, are you familiar with this CJ Pearson? He seems to be a new darling on the right, and he's like a teenage black kid who supports Donald Trump and is adamant about critical race theory needing to be banned. I saw him recently on Roland Martin, and it was just aggravating to watch him. Are they creating coons from birth? Okay, that's it. That's all my questions. Have a great week, Spann. All right, man. Appreciate you writing in, Reggie. Yeah, I'm very familiar with CJ Pearson. He's not new. CJ Pearson has been he's been around for a little while. I think CJ Pearson started doing like YouTube videos and shit when he was like maybe 10 or 11 or something like that. And he had some right of center views. He had like very conservative views even then. And there was a certain point though where CJ Pearson had like started trying to renounce some of his conservative views, and then you look back, checked in a few weeks later, and he was right back on his shit. Here's the thing with CJ Pearson, man. I honestly, I saw this shit on, I saw him on Roland Martin also. I saw him on, was that the Black News Network or something like that with Mark Lamont Hill. And I'm honestly I kind of wish that they wouldn't put him on TV or put him on these shows. And the reason why I say that is because, for years, I just avoided talking about this kid because he was a kid. I still see him that way. He's the same age as my daughter, right? I believe. If not maybe a year or two older, but he's around the same age as my daughter. So I have a hard time, like right now. I mean, at a certain point, once he gets, a little bit more aged up, we might have to start addressing him. But I just kind of feel like, yo, man, bringing this kid on these platforms to talk about, whatever public policy or political shit that they want to talk about. At a certain point, just like, y'all know that this kid is just regurgitating talking points. Y'all know this. He gets on these shows only to regurgitate the talking points. He was never going to answer a question directly. He's never going to answer you straight up. He's got his set talking points. That is what CJ Pearson is good for. That is all CJ Pearson is good for right now, is regurgitating right-wing talking points. And so, he's not new. That's the point that I really wanted to make to you. He's not new. He's been around for a little while. But yeah, man, I would hope that Roland Martin and others would just like kind of stop booking that kid for shows. Like, I get why they're trying to do it. I really do. I think that they're trying to get him in front of folks and try to, show that he doesn't really know what the fuck it is he's talking about and discredit him to a certain audience, right? But the people they're discrediting him for, they're already like discounting what he's saying, and the people that he's just and the people that don't that agree with C.J. Pearson, they're just going to look at it as a political attack. They're attacking this kid because he doesn't think like them. So yeah, man. That's what it is, man. I just kind of hope they would stop, putting him up on these platforms. But yo, man, that has been a listener feedback. It is time for us to get into the news. All right, our first story here in the news, man, has to do with one Patrisse Khan-Cullors. Patrisse Khan-Cullors, you may know, is one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter, as she was also a part of the Black Lives Matter organization. And she has decided that she's going to step down from the movement's foundation. Yeah, we get the story here. This comes out of usatoday.com. It says a co-founder of Black Lives Matter announced Thursday that she is stepping down as executive director of the movement's foundation. She decried what she called a smear campaign from a far-right group, but said neither that nor recent criticism from other black organizers influenced her departure. Patrisse Khan-Cullors, who had been at the helm of the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation for nearly 6 years, says she is leaving to focus on other projects, including the upcoming release of her second book and a multi-year TV development deal with Warner Brothers. Her last day with the foundation is Friday. I've created the infrastructure and the support and the necessary bones and foundation so that I can leave, Khan-Cullors told the Associated Press. It feels like the time is right. Khan-Cullors' departure follows a massive surge in support and political influence in the U.S. and around the world for the BLM movement, which was established nearly 8 years ago in response to injustice against black Americans. The resignation also comes on the heels of controversy over the foundation's finances over Khan-Cullors' personal wealth. The 37-year-old activist said her resignation had been in the works for more than a year and had nothing to do with the personal attacks that she had faced from far-right groups or any dissension within the movement. Those were right-wing attacks that tried to discredit my character, and I don't operate off of what the right thinks about me, Khan-Cullors said. Now, we talked about that a few weeks ago, where she had bought a few homes. I think she had a home in Georgia, a couple homes in California, and maybe someplace else. I'm drawing a blank as to where the other place could be. But we talked about that and how it wasn't necessarily the greatest look to be the leader of a movement, to be a leader of a movement that a lot of folks would purport to be grassroots, and for you to have, multiple estates or multiple homes, right? And so it's not necessarily the greatest look, but that doesn't mean it doesn't mean that she got those homes through ill-gotten gains, right? They just talked about her having a television production deal, that she's already written a book, that she has a second book on the way, that she's on the lecture circuit, so she's been able to go out to a whole bunch of different places and speak, and there are speaking fees that come associated with that as well. Sometimes if you're an in-demand speaker, you can charge anywhere between 5 to 6 figures for a speech, right? Republicans tried to make a really big deal of Hillary Clinton being a 6-figure public speaker when she would be going out to make, public acknowledgments and speeches and everything, right? So she could have gotten the money from those various means, right? The other thing that I thought was interesting was because, like, again, when these stories first started percolating up, made note of where they came from, right? Like, now I made note of, like, it's the New York Post. New York Post is owned by Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch also owns Wall Street Journal. Rupert Murdoch also owns Fox News. And so if you notice the kind of coverage that the Black Lives Matter movement and the foundation and everything has gotten from its inception, from these particular organizations, from these particular news organizations, then you kind of take into, like, all right, so we understand what this is. The bad part about it is not everybody is that discerning. Not everybody is trying to parse where the sourcing of the stories are coming from. So when you see the headline, all you see is Patrisse Khan-Cullors, leader of BLM, buys 4 homes, and now you questioning whether or not she's stealing from the organization or she's stealing from the movement. So yeah, the timing of this doesn't look good for her either. Like she could tell folks all day long that she has been planning this for a year, but the fact that this comes on the heels of the scandal, so to speak, of her having 4 homes, it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good, man. And it's interesting because when Black Lives Matter first started, like here's the other part about it, man. So like youth movements, because this is like generally built up from like the grassroots, and a lot of young people, like the youth are the ones who are really the energy of a lot of movements. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of how there was friction between the old guard when you had Dr. Martin Luther King and A. Philip Randolph and Bayard Rustin, when they were like doing the thing, when they were running the civil rights movement. And then you had upstarts like, Stokely Carmichael and SNCC, having a different tact as to how they wanted to attack how they wanted to address the civil rights movement. They wanted to be a little bit more forceful and how they went about, the civil rights movement. And Martin Luther King was really trying to wed them to the idea of nonviolence. And so you had this pushback from the elders. I mean, you had this pushback from the youth who, like, they were antagonistic a bit to the old guard, right? And a lot of those same things happened when it came to Black Lives Matter. You got a whole bunch of new activists, they were really critical of people like a Jesse Jackson, really critical of people like a Al Sharpton. And you got this new movement who's going to tell these old people how to do this thing. And then you look up and they are falling victim to the same things that the old guard fell victim to as well, right? Or at least some of the media criticism and some of the scrutiny that the old guard tried to warn them about, right? So it just it's funny how when you don't know, it's funny how like the history repeats itself, especially when you don't read up on it and when you don't know the history, which is why it's interesting that Republicans don't really want us to do like critical race theory and everything else. It's important for us to know these things so that when we start seeing these patterns emerge again, we can understand where the shit is coming from. But yeah, man, she stepped down from Black Lives Matter Foundation, and it's not a good look for her. But that's in the news. Another story that we got here in the news is so June will mark the end of the moratorium on evictions, which means at the end of this month, millions of Americans could find themselves possibly being kicked out of their homes.
God damn!
Yeah, man, we get the story here. This comes out of CNBC.com. It says more than 11 million Americans are behind on their rent, and many could be pushed from their homes when the national eviction ban expires in June. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's eviction moratorium, which has been in effect since September, will be lifted on June 30th. Although the policy has been far from perfect at keeping renters housed, it's reduced the normal number of eviction filings over the same time period by at least half, according to Peter Hepburn, a research fellow at the Eviction Lab. That's a thing? Okay. Experts say that the number of evictions could skyrocket when the ban lifts. Around 15% of adult renters are not current on their housing payments, according to an analysis by the Center of Budget and Policy Priorities. We're going to see what's been managing to stave off this wave of evictions that is just going to crush some of these areas, according to the National Coalition for Civil Rights to Counsel. The CDC eviction moratorium has faced numerous legal challenges, and landlords have criticized the policy, saying they can't afford to house people for free or shoulder the country's massive rental arrears, which could be as high as $70 billion. Yet housing advocates say the ban is lifting at a terrible time for both property owners and tenants, with states still scrambling to distribute $45 billion in rental assistance allocated by Congress to address the crisis. That funding is unprecedented. Renters were given just $1.5 billion during the Great Recession, according to the National Low Income Housing Coalition. So here's the thing, man, and this is the thing that it's kind of tricky because I feel for both. I can see both sides of this, right? So last year, you had a lot of people who couldn't work because their jobs were either on hold or they were their place of employment closed due to the pandemic, and they've been having a hard time finding work, right? You also had landlords who now can't collect on their rents, and because they can't collect on their rents, they can't pay the mortgage on the house, and they can't pay the property taxes on the house. And so like you leave the landlords in the lurch, but then also these people who've been living here rent free are gonna have to try to figure out how they can either pay back the arrears or find someplace else to go when they don't have the resources to do that, right? And so, the most frustrating thing for me, listening to like how people talk about this, is generally how it's usually other working folks who are mad at people who are like at their level or below them, who got any level of assistance, right? We've deemed assistance, like here's the thing, we look at being poor as if it's sort of like a character flaw in folks. Well, like if you're poor because you don't want to work or you choose not to work, it's all these damn places hire, man. These motherfuckers just want to sit at home, collect unemployment, this, that, other. They need to get their ass back up to work. It's like, yeah, they go back to work, and even the job that they're going back to won't allow them to pay the fucking rent because they don't pay them enough, right? And so now we try like, maybe these jobs should pay a little bit more, right? But now you mad at that because now they're closer in pay to you, and now you feel like they don't deserve that amount of money because you think your job is of higher value than theirs, right? So, like, it's been real interesting, like, to just kind of listen to how people talk about this. But the thing that like kind of scares me is like we're noticing already with society sort of kind of opening back up to some level of normalcy a bit. We are seeing spikes in, fights on airplanes and in like downtown areas. Like we had like a really big fight that happened in downtown Detroit not too long ago. We are seeing, mass shootings are happening on on a more and more regular basis. We're going to talk a little bit about the one that happened in Austin. We have people who are just straight up like disregarding the police. Like we had just had this thing here in Detroit where people are drag racing and doing donuts around the police, like the actual police. They doing donuts around these niggas, man. We just saw that. We talked about this a few weeks ago. This guy was initiating police chases, bruh. People are going through some shit. Add an eviction to that. Add millions of people losing their homes in a very trying time right now. We're still in a pandemic. Add that on top of this fucking fire, and I'm just scared for what we can see happening, man. I wish that when they did the moratorium that they would have had some recourse for these landlords to where they wouldn't have pressure to kick these folks out, right? That's really what I kind of wish would have happened. If we were going to have the rental assistance, that they should have been making the landlords whole, or better yet, maybe, like voiding the property taxes or something, or if you're going to do the rent and like void the mortgage payments too, because let's keep it a buck. A lot of these landlords, they're using the rent monies to pay the mortgage. Now they don't have the rent money coming in, so they can't pay the mortgage. And, it's sort of a catch-22. And so like now they're at risk of losing their property because they can't pay the property taxes and they can't pay the mortgage because the people that they got living in there ain't paying them. And it's just like, it's this vicious cycle. And so, yeah, man, the fact that that shit ends at the end of this month, it's kind of scary, man. So, I just hope that they find some sort of solution before this month ends to kind of mitigate the damage that can happen with people losing their homes, man, because that is not a great thing. So, yeah, man, that's in the news. Another story that we got here in the news, man. So this happened here in Michigan. I believe I have video attached to this. Oh, yeah, I do. But, yeah. So, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead I'm going to let this video play. But, so this guy, he shot a 6-year-old kid for trying to retrieve their bike. They let this guy out of they let him out of jail with a $10,000 bond, which means he only had to pay $1,000 to get out of jail. He shot a kid and was out of jail in a few hours for paying $1,000 in bond. So yeah, let me like I said, let me go ahead and pull this video so you guys can watch right along with me here. Let me do this here really quick. All right, here we go. Check this out, y'all. Oh, this is actual video. To... Okay, so this looks to be Ring doorbell footage of the actual incident. I don't want to see this kid get shot, man. I don't want to see this kid get shot. No, I thought it would have been the news report, but apparently not. So yeah, let me let me pull up the news report because I don't want to watch this kid get shot. Let's see. Let's escape. Fucking yeah, there we go. It says a Washington County judge has ordered that a man accused of shooting a 6-year-old boy in the arm, originally held on a $10,000 bond, to turn himself in and has increased his bond to $100,000. The judge ruled on Thursday, 2 days after Ryan Lee Nguyen was charged with assault with intent to murder. On Tuesday, Lee Nguyen was given a $10,000 bond and was released that same day, sparking outrage among residents in the Ypsilanti Township. The prosecutor's office told Fox 2 on Tuesday that an emergency motion was that an emergency motion was filed to raise the bond. On Thursday, a different Washington County judge heard the case and said additional facts presented that were not originally included in the arraignment were concerning. The judge said that there had been previous threats against the child which were not included in Tuesday's charges and ordered Lee Nguyen to turn himself in through his attorneys. The judge set the new bond at $100,000 cash bond, no 10%. He was also ordered to wear a GPS tether if he was released on bond. 6 months ago, Washington County prosecutor Eli Savitt there vowed to reform the bail system, doing away with cash bonds in most situations. So we do have, there's a news.
That family's plea.
Okay, so yeah, let me go ahead and pull this up because this wasn't front and foremost. So let me pull this up. All right. All right,
for justice is beginning to be heard. 29-year-old Ryan Lee Nguyen sent back to jail by a judge earlier today, being held here at the Washtenaw County lockup, and he'll stay there unless he can make a $100,000 bond cash.
I just want justice for Kobe.
6-year-old Kobe Daniel shot in the arm for apparently leaving a bike in the yard of suspected shooter Ryan Lee Nguyen, a neighbor.
He tried to hit me with a sledgehammer, but that's not gonna work because I'm too fast.
So then what did he do?
Got a gun, boom, shot me right here.
The tragedy on video. Lee Nguyen walked free, getting just a $10,000 bond Tuesday, no tether either.
If you're violent and you lose your cool, you need to be locked up.
That's been Arnold's plea, trying to get Lee Nguyen back behind bars. An emergency hearing Thursday regarding his bail.
My first name is Ryan, and last name is Lee Nguyen.
The Washtenaw County prosecutor, Ellie Savitt, originally requested a $100,000 cash bond and went for that again with a list of specific bond conditions.
Specifically, given the gravity of this case and the significant risk to public safety, the people are requesting the defendant be immediately remanded into custody.
Savitt said in court after the shooting happened in Ypsilanti Township Saturday, Lee Nguyen admitted to shooting a gun out of his window.
The additional facts that were presented by the people in the motion that were not presented at the arraignment are quite troubling. Defendant is to turn himself over to the custody of the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department today. I'm going to set a new bond at $100,000 cash or surety.
The news bittersweet for Arnold Daniel and Kobe.
If I hadn't initiated calling the news people and getting someone else involved, me just fighting from my podium, he would still be free, and these people would have ignored me to the end of time.
He says Lee Nguyen's mother is a longtime employee of the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office and is concerned that Lee Nguyen has gotten preferential treatment.
Ryan, I really don't have no hard feelings. You know, I don't have no hard feelings, but you're wrong. You're wrong, man. You lost your mind, man, and you need to be held accountable.
Now, if he is able to post bail, it has to be paid in full and paid by someone who the court approves of, that Lee Nguyen can then be in the custody of. And of course, he would have to be on tether as well. Reporting in Washtenaw County, Jessica Dupnack.
All right. So, yeah, man. Here's the thing, right? So there's a school of thought that is about restorative justice, right? And you got a lot of people who feel like, yo, man, like the reason why so many people are still in jail, before they ever get to trial, they can't fight their case effectively because they're locked behind bars because they can't afford to pay bail and everything else. And, you know, that sort of school of thought is like becoming a more popular refrain. They're like, yo, we should probably do away with bail altogether, that we should probably try to figure out some other way in which to secure recompense for victims and everything else. But here's the thing, like this is the thing happening in practice, right? Where, you know, they gave him a low bond that he could afford. And this is actually something, this is like a standing policy in Washington County, where they were trying to not charge a hell of a lot of bail money, you know, so that people could actually pay the bond to get out to fight their case. But when you have something like this happens, are people going to be really, are people going to be accepting of it? Right? Because it's all fine in theory. See, that's the other part. Like, we talk about this shit on like podcasts, we talk about it on Twitter, we talk about it on Facebook and everything else. It's all theory to a lot of people. But when it is actually being applied in real life scenarios, and you see that someone gets off on $1,000, they can get out of jail for $1,000 for shooting a kid, you have a whole different kind of perspective on that. Put this in perspective. I was also arrested once. I've been arrested twice, but the first time I was arrested, it was for soliciting without a permit. Now, for those of you who don't know what soliciting without a permit means, it means I was selling shit. Don't mean I was soliciting shit. Don't mean I was like trying to buy some pussy and nothing like that. No, it was selling things without a permit, right? And it was a door-to-door sales job. And, you know, when you do door-to-door sales, you got to go on a day of observation with these people to figure out if this is something you really want to do. And when I found out it was a door-to-door sales job, because I had applied for an entry-level sales position, when you find out that this is a door-to-door sales, I'm like, all right, man, all right, I don't want to do this. But now with these motherfuckers, I got to walk with these cats, right? So I'm walking with these dudes, and this guy didn't have his proper permits. Now, mind you, I don't work for these people. I'm just with these guys. But someone in the neighborhood called the police and said, well, there's a couple guys knocking on doors soliciting. I think they were selling like tickets to like the Pistons or some shit like that, and like coupons for like Little Caesars pizza or some shit. But somebody called the police and they were like, yo, man, so, you know, you don't have your proper permits. I'm going to give you a soliciting without a permit ticket and everything. Now, the company that I was supposedly like, you know, prospectively going to work for, what they did was they said, well, we're going to pay this ticket, Mr. Spann. We're sorry about, you know, the permit issue or whatever. We're going to pay this ticket. You don't have to worry about anything. And we understand if you don't want to take the position, right? All right, cool. Fast forward a year later, I'm working for another company. I get pulled over by the state police, and I'll be damned if there's not a warrant out for my arrest for soliciting without a permit. Because guess what? The company that told me that they was going to pay the ticket, they didn't pay the ticket. They didn't pay the ticket. And you know what they charged me to get out of jail? They gave me a $10,000 bond and had to come up with $1,000, get the fuck out. Which makes it all the more fucking ridiculous that I got charged $1,000 bond for soliciting without a permit, and this guy shot a fucking kid and he got charged $1,000 to get the fuck out of jail. So I say all that to say that, like, again, a lot of these things, we talk about these things in theory. We get on Facebook, we get on Twitter, we start theorizing about all of this shit. But when you when the rubber meets the road, when you have to actually apply these principles in real life scenarios, shit ain't gonna always be as sweet. And the other thing about that too is we always assume that because of the conversations that we have on social media, that a lot of people are also having these conversations. Truthfully speaking, these conversations ain't happening everywhere. So to a vast majority of folks, the idea that you can get out of jail for $1,000 for shooting somebody is crazy. It's crazy. It may sound great in theory on social media, but to the vast majority of folks who are not on social media, who don't have these conversations, who aren't theorizing about this shit sounds crazy. And, you know, I started seeing the memes, you know, people got own like a pho restaurant or something like that in Ypsilanti Township. Like, I don't even go to Ypsilanti like that. But I saw people in Chicago, my folks in Chicago sending me memes and shit about, hey, man, you better not go to that restaurant, man. Don't boycott their business. And I'm like, yo, I get it. I would never go in there anyway. So, I mean, this is the easiest boycott I ever had to do in my life. Right? Easiest boycott I ever had to do in my life because I ain't never been there no way. But, yeah, man, you know, the whole idea, the restorative justice thing, man, like, you know, you're going to have to find some tweaks to it Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I know it's a new idea, but you're gonna have a hard time getting a lot of folks behind the idea that like somebody does something heinous like shooting a child and they get out with pretty much like very little money, you know, relative to the crime that they're being charged with. So yeah, man, that's in the news. Another story that we got here in the news is I made mention of it before, but 13 people were shot in Austin, Texas in a mass shooting.
God damn!
Yeah. Let me pull this story up. But we get this story. This comes out of, well, this is our NBC affiliate here in Detroit, WDIV. It says a shooting in a busy entertainment district. Oh, there's video. Oh, let me go ahead and pull the video up so I don't have to read this shit. Yeah, let me pull this up so you guys can read. Well, watch right along with your boy here. Okay, let's stop that screen. All right, let's do this here. All right, here we go. Let's see what they're talking about.
All right, thanks, Andrew. See you soon. But first, some breaking news we're following in Austin, Texas. At least 13 people are injured in a mass shooting this morning. This is a look here. It happened on 6th Street in the downtown area. That's
oh, shit. It just stopped. Well, all right. Okay, then screw it. Video isn't playing. So we have to, we got to go ahead and read this article. It says a shooting in a busy entertainment district in downtown Austin, Texas injured 13 people early Saturday, and police said the suspected shooter was not in custody. 2 of the injured people were in critical condition, but as of the news conference at 4 a.m. local time, no one had died. Gunfire erupted just before 1:30 a.m. along the 6th Street, a popular area filled with bars and restaurants. The street was barricaded to keep out vehicle traffic at the time of the shooting. It is unclear what sparked the shooting. 11 of the injured people were taken to one local hospital. Another person was taken into a different hospital, and the other person went to an urgent care facility with gunshot wounds. Our officers responded very quickly, the interim chief said. They were able to immediately begin life-saving measures for these many patients, including applications of tourniquets, applications of chest seals. Chacon said that some officers transported patients to hospitals in their police cruisers due to the nature of the scene, where it was hard to contain the crowd and get ambulances to those who were injured. The shooter was not immediately arrested, Chacon said, and the description that police had of the suspect was not very detailed, but said that the person was believed to be a man. Yeah, there's something very cowardly about, you know, the like mass shooting or just like going into a group of folks, man. You got a target maybe of somebody you want to get, but you, as opposed to just like waiting to, I don't want to make it sound like I'm like, you know, advocating for like you like shooting anybody, but I'm just saying like you endanger all these other people that don't have anything to do with what the fuck you mad about. Is very fucking, it just irks the, like, yeah. And, you know, this happens like, I believe we are already over like 200 like mass shootings for the United States over the course of the last year, right? I believe just like this, not even the last year, the last 6 months. And I remember a few months ago, getting into a back and forth with a friend of mine on Twitter about the prevalence of mass shootings and whether or not, you know, we have had as many mass shootings, because a mass shooting is considered to be any shooting that 4 or more people have been shot. And the idea that a lot of people have about mass shootings is like, yo, it happens and it's at like a real big venue, or it's at a school. Like, this would be a mass shooting for some people. But if there was an incident where 4 people got shot and it was a domestic issue, they don't consider that a mass shooting, despite the fact that there may have been 4 shooting victims. All that to say is that everybody should not have access to firearms. Everybody shouldn't. I do believe that there should be some checks in place for whether or not you are mentally capable of having a firearm, capable of using a firearm safely, capable of using a firearm, per the law. Outside of that, I just kind of I want to understand why anybody would want to go into a group of people and shoot indiscriminately? Like, what kind of, like, where are you at mentally where you will want to do that to not only the people like that you are in maybe a beef with, but to the people that don't have shit to do with nothing. They ain't did nothing to you, don't even know you, don't even know what you about, don't know why you mad, don't know what is moving you. Like, I really want to try to understand why someone would feel, not necessarily understand to sympathize, but I really just kind of want to know what would drive someone to go to those lengths to do that sort of shit. That's what I want to know. Like, what would drive someone to do that? And so, you know, it's the sad thing about this is that as mass shootings become more and more commonplace, we become numb to them to almost to the degree that, like, yo, you know, this was the fourth story that I read in the news. The fourth one. They're becoming so commonplace. And as someone who is a Second Amendment proponent, who owns firearms himself, every time I see one of these stories, I get sick. I get sick because these are things that don't have to happen. They don't have to happen, but they continue to happen. And, you know, it's just a sad, the shit's just sad, man. It's just sad. But yo, man, that's been the news. All right, but y'all know what time it is.
What in blue blazes is going on out here? This nigga just say blue blazes.
All right, our first story here in Blue Blazes has to do with one very, very interesting motherfucking story. So apparently, there's an artist, an Italian artist, who sold a sculpture that he did not make. It was an invisible sculpture. And he sold this fucking sculpture for $18,000 fucking dollars, man. Yeah, man. So we get this story. This comes out of Fox News. It says that's literally a whole lot of nothing. When it comes to art, there really aren't any rules. Anything can technically be art as long as it expresses something, and there are people who are able to get something out of it. For example, an art fan recently paid thousands of dollars for an invisible sculpture. What is an invisible sculpture? Well, in this case, it's a sculpture that doesn't actually exist. The art piece was created by, first of all, it wasn't created by no fucking body, and there is no piece. But the fact that they even are describing it this way is bonkers, right? The art piece was created by Italian artist Salvatore Garro. Newsweek reports. It was reportedly sold for 15,000 euros, which is equal to about $18,300. According to the news outlet, the artist was adamant that while the sculpture doesn't physically exist, that doesn't mean that it's nothing. Yes, that's exactly what the fuck it means. That's exactly what the fuck it means. It is not a sculpture. It is an idea. It is something that you thought up in your head. It is something that you have been able to convince some other fool to part with 15,000 euros or $18,300 to give to you because you came up with an idea of absolutely fucking nothing. Absolutely nothing. I wonder if he charged them shipping. Did he charge them shipping for this fucking sculpture? I mean, where do they put the sculpture? Do they void a space in their home? Like, yeah, so this over here, this is my Picasso, or it's not really a Picasso because, you know, it's like, it's an idea of a Picasso that I had in my head, and I bought it from this Italian dude for $18,000, but like, he said I could make it whatever the fuck I wanted it to be, which means you could have saved your $18,000, could have saved it, could have saved your 18 G's, and said the same shit. I got a Picasso over there. Does it exist over there? Really? No. But I say it's Picasso because I have the idea in my head that it's a Picasso. Somebody gave this dude $18,300 for nothing. I'm in the wrong fucking business, man. I'm in the wrong fucking business. It says while news outlets did not report the buyer's identity because nobody. That's the other thing. Yeah, you bought this shit. You don't want to be known as the fool that gave this dude $18,000 for a whole lot of nothing. You don't want to be that guy, man. You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be that lady. I gave this guy $18,300 for some bullshit. I ain't get a motherfucking thing for the nigga even charged me shipping. I don't know if he charged me shipping, but I'm just saying. Said, well, let's see. They did not report the buyer's identity as reported that the sculpture will need to be displayed in an unobstructed area that is 5 feet by 5 feet. It should also be displayed in a private home. How in the fuck will we know that? How in the fuck will we know? How will we know, man? Like, oh my God, man. I am in the wrong fucking business. I'm in the wrong business. Somebody, I gotta come up with an idea. Cause this shit here, man. I need to be selling a whole lot of nothing all over the world, man. Like, yo, man, I got ideas. And this motherfucker can get $18,300 for that one, nigga. I might just go ahead and quit my job behind this shit. If I can sell, like, nigga, I'm in the wrong work. I'm in the wrong profession, man. I'm in the wrong profession. Fools and their money will surely part. Churches and scam artists all over the world have shown us that. And so, yeah, that's a blue places, man. It should be in an unobstructed place. Nigga, why? Nigga, why would it matter? That shit could be sitting, it's on my bed right now. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know, man. What the fuck? Oh my God, man, that is crazy. Another story that we got here, man. So apparently there's a Georgia man, who pulled a Tupac, man, at least what many people who believe in Tupac faking his own death would believe. But he did the Machiavelli. I'm sorry, he did the Machiavelli. He faked his own death. He was from Georgia. They found this nigga in Oklahoma 6 years later. Or better yet.
Oh, yeah. There is powerful niggardry at work here.
That is powerful. All right, but we get the story here. This also comes out of Fox News. It says Oklahoma authorities and U.S. Marshals located a man who allegedly faked his death in Georgia 6 years ago, police announced. Christopher Tomberlin, 36, faced suspicion for the murder of his then-wife in a 2015 attempted murder case. Oklahoma City Police and the U.S. Marshal Service Metro Fugitive Task Force collaborated on a weeks-long investigation that resulted in Tomberlin's arrest. Tomberlin was wanted out of Bibb County, Georgia, in connection with a 2015 case where he attempted to murder his then-girlfriend. Soon after this incident, Tomberlin faked his own death and was able to evade capture until now. Tomberlin was taken to jail in 2015 after a confrontation with his wife during which he allegedly hurled a hatchet at her and left a bite mark in her hand. His wife was on the phone with his mother at the time of the incident. Oklahoma police referred to the victim and his then-girlfriend instead. He was held on charges of aggravated assault, battery, and terroristic threat at the time. Inmate records indicate that he would have served a jail sentence of 15 years. He was believed to be dead for the past 6 years, but new evidence recently suggested that Tomberlin was alive and living in Oklahoma. Oklahoma authorities continue to piece together Tomberlin's steps to figure out how he ended up in their state. I'm trying to figure out if the nigga had successfully died or like was able to fake his own death, like were they still searching for his body? You know what I'm saying? Like did like recent evidence just kind of pop up like, oh, this nigga like pulled a fast one on us? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, cause from the sounds of this, it sounds as if they never stopped pursuing this dude, despite the fact that they thought he was dead. So I don't know, man. That's kind of crazy. He faked his own fucking death. That's crazy. We got Quantum Medic Music. He says he was worried about pirate cop. He has to be worried about pirated cop. Listen, man. I'm selling all the fake sculptures, bruh. I'm selling all of the fake sculptures. Now, I got a whole nigga. I got bust of Michael Jordan in the back. You know what I'm saying? I got the Magic Johnson statue back here, dog. Martin Luther King monument, I got that in my basement right now, Chief. You can have it right now for the low price of $13.5. Right now, bro. I got all of that. Mount Rushmore, nigga. I got Mount Rushmore in my backyard. You want Mount Rushmore? Come get this motherfucker, man. He on sale right now. We sell that. We got that for the bargain basement price of $300. You know what I'm saying? We got the sculptures for you. If you want sculptures, we got them motherfuckers for you. You know what I'm saying? That's how we rolling over here, man. We got all of the shits. We got all of the shits. You want a Hall of Fame bus? I got Hall of Fame bus. I got Babe Ruths. I got Hank Aaron's. I got Ricky Henderson's. I got all these motherfucking buses, man, just chilling in my basement, man. You want one? You can have one. Just tell me which one you want, and I got you. But you're gonna pay for it. Maybe a little, maybe a lot, but it's gonna cost you, right? So, yeah, man. Fucking fake sculptures, bro. The fuck? The fuck? Yeah, man. That's in Blue Blazes, man. And then this guy's faking his own death. Another story that we got here in Blue Blazes is Kwame Brown, man. So we talked a bit about Kwame Brown last show, and we got an email about the way I talked about Kwame Brown on the last show. And I'm gonna just say this, man. Like I told you guys the last time we talked about Kwame Brown, like I got and I can understand why somebody would be fed up with people continuously joking on their name for the better part of 20 years. Like I get it. I understand that. What Kwame Brown was starting to lose a lot of people was how he was starting to come at other people and like in the ways in which he was talking about folks. And also some of the politics that he was kind of trafficking in. And I know it wasn't his videos weren't necessarily overtly political, but you can kind of tell where Kwame Brown leans politically based upon some of the things that Kwame Brown was saying. And I already had the sense that Kwame Brown was kind of leaning a bit right wing in his political leanings because of some of the things that some of the ways he was expressing himself, like even the idea of like Jamel Hill, like kind of the way in which he was coming at Jamel Hill, which was interesting, the way in which he was coming at Jamel Hill, because he talked about Jamel Hill as if Jamel Hill was in the pocket of white folks and she's always around white folks and she's doing the white people's bidding, and that he didn't think that she liked men, and that she should stay out of these conversations with men, stay in a woman's place, that sort of dumb shit. And yet he found room to defend Candace Owens, who, let's keep it a buck, kind of rubber stamps a lot of white supremacist talking points, married a white dude, and also gets involved in conversations with, other men. Now, he didn't tell Candace Owens that Candace Owens needs to stay out of these grown men's conversations. No, you know why? Because he agrees with some of the shit that Candace Owens has to say. As a matter of fact, he went so far as to defend Candace Owens during a recent video, and of course, it was picked up by a lot of right-wing leaning, especially like the right, like the black, right-wing sort of like YouTube channels. They kind of picked that up, and now Kwame Brown is being co-signed by the likes of like Jason Whitlock and shit. Like if Jason Whitlock is co-signing you, you might want to rethink your shit. It's a whole lot of people, black folks, who don't fuck with Jason Whitlock, and there's reasons why. But yeah, man, he actually defended Candace Owens, and he also had the audacity to blame Breonna Taylor for her own goddamn death. Yeah, man. So let me go ahead and pull this video up so you guys can watch right along with your man Spann, because of course when we do talk about these things, we don't just pull shit up out of our ass. So wait a second. Let me pull this up first. All right. Okay, here we go. And we're going to start this video because okay, here we go. Let's do that here. Let's do this here. Because we're not going to watch this dude editorialize and shit. We're going to get right to the shit. All right, here we go. Right there.
With my son in the car. But y'all say it's the white people I should fear, but it's my own kind doing all the killing here. Tupac was right then, and he right now. You need to stop blaming white folks. You're sick in the inside. The main ones out there making all that noise, hooting and hollering for black people, disagree with them and watch what they do to you. Watch what they try to do. Watch what they say to you. Watch how they talk to you, black man. Just disagree with them and watch how they talk to you. Candace Owens black, and I ain't heard a person sat down and had a healthy dialogue with this woman yet. I watched them put this woman up on the stage, and she's a black woman, but she ain't the black woman that you want to hear from. But she makes some valid points that I would like to hear someone challenge and argue with, just the point and not the person.
Okay, let's just keep it a buck. That's not what you're looking for, Kwame. That's not what you're looking for. There have been plenty of people who have gone back and forth with Candace Owens on the points, and yet and still she just regurgitates and reiterates the point, right? Plenty of folks have done it. As a matter of fact, I believe she was on. She had been on what was it, MSNBC at one point, and she was going back and forth with a oh man, what's my man's name? I'm drawing a blank. He's very loquacious. Oh shit. The guy who wrote the Bill Cosby book. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. Michael Eric Dyson. She had been on there with him, and she was just basically very dismissive and rude when she was having a conversation with him. She went before Congress, and when she was before Congress, there was a Congressman Lou pulled up a video of her talking about Adolf Hitler wanted to make Germany great again. You know, like, people have gone at Candace Owens about the points that Candace Owens makes. Like, people keep talking about, well, Candace Owens makes some valid points. It's like a broken clock is right twice a day. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody isn't 100% wrong on every fucking thing, but that does not mean that we're supposed to just disregard some of the more harmful shit that they say just because you agree with them on a couple fucking points. And a lot of people on the right tend to do this sort of shit. I've got some conservative friends, right? Or people that I know that kind of lean that way. And like, real talk, the reason why they still my friends is because we got history. I know them. I know what their intentions are for a lot of things. I just don't necessarily agree with the way in which we go about the shit, right? And so when someone like a Candace Owens comes up, you know, what I find myself finding out with them is that, like, they tend to act as though they don't know all of the reasons why people don't fuck with this person. There's a reason why black people have a visceral reaction when it comes to Candace Owens. It's not because Candace Owens is conservative. It's because Candace Owens has a tendency to regurgitate white supremacist talking points. That is why black people, by and large, don't fuck with Candace Owens. They didn't just start off this way. Think about this. Candace Owens started off, she would reframe the shit now, but Candace Owens started off kind of liberal leaning. As a matter of fact, Candace Owens, at one point, had sued her school district because she was a victim of what? Racism. She got a settlement from the school district as payback for the racism that she said she experienced at that school that she was not protected from, right? Had the NAACP in her back, that had her back in that case, right? Candace Owens now will go forward in front of groups of people and tell them that racism does not exist and is not an impediment to their fucking progress in society, which is bullshit because she profited from it her goddamn self. So there are reasons why people don't fuck with Candace Owens. And so, like, the fact that he would get on here and say that, like, yeah, black people, you know, he's talking about Stat Jack, because like him and Stephen Jackson have been having a back and forth. They talking shit to one another, and now he's extrapolating that particular incident. He's extrapolating from that to a whole where, like, suddenly black folks is blaming white folks for shit that they ain't did to them, which is exactly what white people want you to believe. That, yeah, this is part of the reason why they don't want you to learn critical race theory, or they don't want critical race theory to be taught in schools, even though that shit ain't being taught in schools now anyway. It's not even a fucking thing in K through 12 education. But they're going on and on and on about you not learning this true history of this fucking country. Because if you knew the true history of this country, and if they kids knew the true history of this country, maybe shit would change around this motherfucker. But if we could just give them a pass on this shit, well, like, you know, it's a pass. You know, let's go ahead let's let bygones be bygones. All right? You know, my country says of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. You know, let's just make it a thing. You know, like, you know, no one wins when the family feuds. You know, Jay-Z said that once. It's bullshit. So it's not that people don't argue with Candace Owens on the merits of her argument. They do that, but they also understand that Candace Owens is a goddamn grifter. That's why people get viscerally upset about Candace Owens. And when she walks into a room, people roll their fucking eyes because they're like, yeah, they know, man. Let me go ahead and let this finish out a little bit though.
If what I'm saying is wrong, educated people should be able to be emotionally strong enough to sit there and hear somebody's point. You teaching at colleges to not like people. That's not the debates that I used to see. When I grew up, a debate was about the content, the message. You see, two people say their point of view, and we see who got the most facts in it. Now, as soon as a person walks in the room, shit! Get him out of here! Come on! Almost fainted. You ain't gonna make it through life.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of the right-wing leaning black folks tend to try to separate themselves from black people, period. It's part of the reason why that whole bonnet situation, that whole bonnet discussion and everything, there's a class issue that's involved in that too. There's a certain embarrassment that some black people have about a certain segment or a certain class of black people existing in public spaces. It's the same level of discomfort that white people have about a certain segment or a certain class of black people existing in certain spaces. There's some black people who buy into that shit. There's some black people who buy into it. And so, yeah, man, he came out with that shit. You had all this like admiration for a Candace Owens, but yet and still Candace Owens has yet to advocate for black people in a meaningful way that also holds the people who are holding them back accountable. Meanwhile, you had so much vitriol for Jemele Hill, suggesting that she might be a lesbian, suggesting that she doesn't like men, suggesting that she should shut the fuck up because men are talking. And yet, Candace Owens, no, you never heard anybody talk anything substantive against Candace Owens. Get the fuck out of here, man. This is why I said, man, everybody's mama can't cook. Everybody's mama can't cook. So, yeah, you got that going on. The other thing that Kwame Brown had to say that I thought, could raise some eyebrows was the fact that he went on his channel, his YouTube thing, and he started suggesting that like Breonna Taylor brought her death upon herself, right? This is the suggestion that this is what I got from what he said. Maybe he didn't mean it in that way, but this is what he said. So let me go ahead and pull this up so you guys can see this for yourselves as well. Let's see. This is we get this from Lipstick Alley, which is funny, but actually I think this leads us to a clip from Twitter. Yeah, this came from a tweet. So let me pull this up so you guys can watch right along with your boy. All right. Got too many tabs open. That's my problem. All right, here we go. Check this out, y'all.
He's talking about a Breonna Taylor case in which a young lady allegedly was with a guy who sold drugs, or she was with a guy beforehand who sold drugs. She broke up with this guy, and then the new guy had a firearm, and when they kicked in the door, allegedly they started shooting and all these other things. But instead of somebody finding that through line and understanding that decision making plays a part in how your life play out. You could decide not to take the SAT. Your ass ain't going to college. You could decide not to take the ACT, and you're not going to fucking college. We are starting to whine and complain about things that you are bringing upon yourself. If you hit me in the face and your only thing is, oh, well, he shot me after I hit him in the face. No, your behavior and what you did, I didn't want to shoot you. I didn't want to hit you. I didn't want to do nothing to you. But some of the decisions that you made caused this to happen.
Yeah. He said that shit. And it's as if he's ignorant to a lot of the facts of the case. It's as if he doesn't necessarily understand that, whether she had been with a prior boyfriend and that prior boyfriend had been a drug dealer. She's no longer with said boyfriend, right? She's with a new boyfriend. She's in her own home. Police raid that home, no knock warrant, knocking down the door. Now, if anybody would just to come to my house, knocking down my doors, knowing the way my shit is set up, yeah, I'm probably firing off some shots too. It's called a castle doctrine. You should probably read up on it, Kwame. They should properly identify themselves as law enforcement before they even, start knocking your doors down and all this other shit. Be that as it may, because we're not about to relitigate Breonna Taylor. The fact that this dude got up on social media, got up on video and started talking about Breonna Taylor's choice and decision-making led to her dying that day. Despite the fact that those police officers came in there on a no-knock warrant in the middle of the night. She's no longer even with the guy that they think she's with. They were at the wrong fucking place to begin with. And you blame her for what happened? Fuck out of here, man. Fuck out of here, dude. So yeah, man. Everybody's mama can't cook. Let's just leave it at that. Everybody's mama can't cook. I'm looking at this clock right now and I forgot I got a prior engagement that I need to get to. So we gonna do one more story here in Blue Blazers, and then we gonna have to skate, man. I had a whole bunch of other shit that I wanted to talk to y'all about, but we gonna have to skate here shortly. So let me get to this last story here. We got another story here. This actually comes out of Detroit, and I'm sorry, man. Like, people are having a hard time feeling sorry for this guy, man. So a guy here in the west side of Detroit, he was robbed at a gas station. He had a $20,000 chain on, and he got his chain snatched from him at the gas station, man.
Got him! Got him!
That's exactly what the robbers were saying about this dude as they rode away with this dude's chain, right? But we get this story here. This comes out of the NBC affiliate here in Detroit. Click on Detroit.com, WDIV. Let me pull this video up so you guys can see. I thought I already had it shared up, but I don't. My apologies, people. All right, so yeah, man, check this story out, man, because this is crazy.
A vicious attack at a West Side gas station.
And thieves target a man because of the gold chain he was wearing. Tonight he's talking with our Tim Pamplin, who joins us from the scene with the night cam. Tim.
It was a typical afternoon here at this West Warren gas station in Detroit near Grand Boulevard. Customers coming in, filling up with gas, buying lottery tickets. It was a favorite spot for our victim, Jamal.
Thanks, Reed.
Customer walks in, shakes his hand, a couple more customers behind. The guy in the black. Pay close attention to him. And his buddy, right behind. They're looking for some easy pickings, and Jamal is their target.
I hit the lottery.
Jamal won $30,000 on the Michigan lottery, bought himself a $20,000 necklace. You see, he's wearing it there. He's heard of people getting robbed for their jewelry.
Yeah, it's a thing. So I was just looking around, making sure nobody ain't trying to get my chain,
But they did get his chain. He walks out the store. The suspects were waiting.
So I ran back, tried to get back into the gas station. They had grabbed me, tackled me down.
A particularly vicious attack, punching him, kicking him, getting him to the ground, ripping off his gold.
They took off running and jumped in their car and took off down Warren.
The gas station owner says he recognized that tall guy in that black top. A few months back, he was in the store. There he is in the white hoodie this time. And his MO was exactly the same. Scope out somebody with some jewels. Here, this man walking towards the store, grabs his necklace and runs away. Investigators believe he lives in the area. They're asking anybody who knows who he is to please give them a call. And that's the scene on the west side with the night cam. Tim Pamplin, Local 4.
Yeah, man. So they got a real good video of the dudes who snatched my man's chain. Now the thing is, a lot of folks had a hard time feeling sorry for the guy who got his chain took, man. Like a whole bunch of folks, man. I'm not one to pocket watch, folks, man. Y'all know I was just talking to y'all about Gary Owens, not, whether or not I don't give a fuck about whether or not he pays his wife $44,000 a month in alimony or whatever, because they ain't got shit to do with me. Same thing with anything with people spending money on certain things. Like, all right, man, shit, do your thing. But folks had a hard time, man. I ain't gonna lie. I did too. Had a hard time rationalizing yo, man, you won 30 G's in the lottery and you spent 20 of it on a necklace, bruh. That wasn't the decision I would have made, you know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't have made that decision And it's not to say that he deserved to get robbed, because I know a lot of people talking about he deserved to get robbed, man. Like, nah, man, leave people the fuck alone. Like, that's my mantra. Leave people the fuck alone. And the fact that this guy had been to this store and did this shit a few months back, and they could go to the video and pull it up. He's a habitual offender, a habitual line stepper, and he keeps doing it at the same gas station. I'm wondering if the gas station at some point, nah, maybe not, because they did release the video. But I would have wondered, like, if I would have wondered if like the gas station maybe was in on it or whatever. But that can't be good for business. But then the other thing too, like, so he gets on the news and tells the news that the chain was worth $20,000. Them niggas probably didn't even know that chain was worth $20,000. And we don't even know, and we don't know if the chain was worth $20,000. He probably got beat for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, who there's no telling, man. But yeah, the fact that guy got robbed, he got robbed, he got beat up, and he got robbed. And most all of us could only really focus on the fact that, like, man, you won the lottery for $30,000 and you spent 2/3 of that shit on a fucking necklace. Like, people was more upset at that, man. Like, I saw memes already up and down my social medias and shit, man. Like Detroit is upset at the guy who got robbed. They ain't accept, like, I've seen more people mad at the guy that got robbed than the niggas who actually robbed him. Like, that's how bad this shit was, man. Real talk. But yo, man, that has been Blue Blazes.
What in blue blazes is going on out here? Did this nigga just say blue blazes?
All right, like I said, man, I thought I had time, but I really do not. I got a couple segments I'm gonna have to cut because I gotta, you know, my baby this is her graduation weekend, so I gotta do daddy things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna have to get on up out of here. But y'all know, before we get out of here, we gotta do this.
The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here.
All right. Champ of the Week time here at the Spann Report Podcast, man. And our champ of the week this week here at the Spann Report Podcast is all of the companies that have instituted or have basically made Juneteenth a company-wide holiday permanently going forward, man. You guys are the champ of the week this week here at the Spann Report Podcast. And the reason why your guys are the champ of the week this week is because, for one, Juneteenth should be a fucking national holiday. I know a few states have already ratified it that it's going to be a state holiday, and state employees will have that day off. It's a paid holiday. I know a couple companies, my company, the company that I work for, we had the day off last year for Juneteenth. It was a paid holiday, and I was like, cool, because that's around my birthday. My birthday is the 18th, so I'm like, all right, bet, you know what I'm saying? If it don't fall on my birthday, then, like, you know, if either way, we got the day off last year. We don't get it this year, right? A lot of companies did that shit because of the racial reckoning supposedly that was happening in the nation. And you know, they wanted to, like, you know, have some goodwill, you know, to make it look as if, like, we really do care. A lot of y'all don't care. Y'all did the shit, y'all hoping the shit die down, and then you go right back to the same old shit you was doing before. And to the companies who have decided, like, no, we really do mean it. And one of the ways, one way that we can show our employees that we mean it when we say that we want to have a different thing, you know, a different process going forward, that we want to, like, show our employees that we care about them, not only as people, but as individuals, and not just as employees. This is a small way in which we can do that. And so, yo, man, I know a lot of the companies, like, you know, they don't, you know, people don't really give a fuck about the companies, and I'm not really a company person like that. But I did feel like, for those companies who did step up and recognize this holiday, and gave their employees the day off, made it a permanent a permanent holiday going forward, paid holiday going forward for their employees. I feel like kudos to you guys, and yo, that's what's up. That's what's up. But yeah, man, like I said, I got to roll. I got shit to do. But before we get out of here, of course, I got to remind you guys how to get in touch with us over here at the Spann Report Podcast. Let your voice be heard. Go ahead and hit up that hotline at area code 313-288-0485. There's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages. Of course, those messages will get played here live on the show and responded to in kind. You can also email us here at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Leave us those emails, and of course, those emails will get read here and replied to here live as well. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So go ahead and follow me there. Chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. Also, hit us up with a 5-star review on iTunes and or Stitcher Radio. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get read here live on the show. We really appreciate everybody who goes about the business of doing that. Doesn't cost you a dime. Just a couple minutes of your time to let everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Spann Report Podcast Network also. yeah, man, that's it. I gotta go. I will talk to you guys again soon. But until next time, fam, peace.